2. The following morning, old mother dear woke me much earlier than I had wished. She stomped into the room, threw open the curtains, and shrieked, "James! Up, up, up! Breakfast's ready! Come on!" This was another horrible habit that the lady had adopted after I had these small misunderstandings with the academic establishment. Mother would wake me, kick me out of the bed, force food inside me, and then load me with errands to keep me occupied in my day and out of trouble's reach. As I said nothing in reply, she tried again, only this time she went up an octave. This had a more penetrating effect on the eardrums. I slipped one eye out from underneath the covers and saw her silhouetted against the morning light. From the angle at which I lay, she looked much taller and broader than usual. Her long brown hair hung straight on her face, framing the blue eyes, the large nose, the archer's bow mouth, and the square chin. Her head was set forward slightly, and her hands rested firmly on her hips. She struck up an imposing figure. I retreated under the covers. "Oh, no, you don't, you little devil! Up you get! I believe your father has already instructed you on what you must do today. Isn't that so?" "No, he was only joking. He didn't mean it, Mum. Honest," said I, clearing the sleep dust from the weary eyeballs. She tried the old trick of ripping the blankets from the bed, but I foiled the attempt. "James," she said, "if you don't get up right this instant, your food will be cold and spoiled, and I will have to throw it away. So please get up, young man." Mother was not a good cook. She brought life to her food, but it wasn't the sort of life a person would like to meet at the table unarmed. I tried to pass this one. "All right, Mother, I'll be right there. You go on back to the kitchen, and I'll follow you when I've dressed." "No, James, I know your tricks, and I'm not leaving here until you leave that bed of yours." This could have been a highly embarrassing situation. I was already up, in a manner of speaking, and it was my upness that concerned me. If I had left my bed, it would have concerned her too. So I pleaded that I was naked, shy, and unwilling to show her me plonker. She left. Pook was sitting at the breakfast table when I walked in. "Morning, Pook," I said, and I sat down on the bench opposite, where a place was laid. I poured some Frosties in a bowl, and on top, some milk. Pook read his comic in silence. Mother was standing in the far corner next to this important-looking cooker we had just had installed. It did just about everything except cook the food. This was a shame, because, as I said, Mother couldn't cook to save her life. God knows what she thought she was doing to ours. "Have you got the papers today, Mum?" "No, your father took them to work with him. Here." She put the plate down, and it banged as it hit the surface. It was one of those white plates that the French use, and she had recently discovered French style. She thought it super and fun. On it lay my breakfast. Not a sight for the squeamish. "Eat," she instructed. "You'll need all your strength today if you're to find a job." "What about errands? Haven't you got any of them you want run? Huh? I could do errands today and maybe find a job tomorrow." I put on my most endearing face, and as a gesture of goodwill I ate a mouthful. No, I can't think of anything you can do for me," she said. "There are some small jobbies to be done, but I am perfectly capable of doing them myself. If you wish to stay on the right side of your father, dear, and not make him peeved, then come home this evening with news of a job." "That's easier said than done. Where do I look?" said I, wrestling with a sausage. "I don't know," she replied. One of the sausages she was cooking for Pook flamed. "Why don't you ring your father and see if he can slot you into a job on the floor at the stock exchange? Or perhaps I could ring Nigel and ask him if you could possibly work in his stables." "Mum, the sausages," Pook instructed. "What? Could I have them cooked, please, not cremated?" "Oh, sorry, darling." With the spatula in her right hand and the grill in her left, Mum pulled the sausages out and battered them on their backs with the spatula until the flame had died and they had split their skins, oozing meat and fat on the grill tray. "No," I said. "I don't fancy any of them much." "Why not? They'd be simply wonderful jobs to have if you could get in. You'd learn stacks and you'd meet all the right people. It would be frightfully useful for you in later life, you know. Very useful indeed." "No, thanks." "Well, I think you are a fool, James, and I don't think you realise how difficult it is to find a job." "Right. What are you going to do?" "I'll look around." "You can't just look around, James. Jobs don't grow on trees, you know. There are millions of unemployed out there, just millions, and most of them would give their right arm for the opportunity. Their right arm, James!" She paused to let the effect of the words sink in. I looked at Pook. He rolled his eyes. "So, James?" So what? So what are you going to do? I told you I'll look around. What? She screamed. I got up from the table and went to my room. Her voice echoed down the corridor behind me. James! James! Come here when I'm speaking to you. Do you hear me? James!